Hey guys, this is Guru Brando with Positively Entertaining Conversations. Today's episode, following Thanksgiving, it's a little rough. I hope you stick it out because, of course, as always, I've got a lot to say. I won't have a curious guest on today because this is a very personal, intimate conversation that I want to have just with you. Um, I want to appeal to anyone who might be feeling um, defeated or powerless right now with the holidays passing and going into Christmas and kind of everything, I guess, colliding at once. It can be overwhelming for some people. I'm one of those people that, gets really sad. Uh, I'm part of a group um, that started with some veterans. And this group, I got roped into one of our buddies who happened to be a neighbor when we were at Fort Bragg. He's kind of been in and out of my life and stuck with me through some really weird and awkward times. And he always had some pretty positive advice, even if at the time it didn't sound very positive. And he put me in this group of veterans that at the time I didn't realize how important they would be. And in this group, we just lost someone to suicide. It's not the first time. And sometimes I wonder would I why would I continue to be in a group like this where I know I'm going to get close to someone and then, um, they may decide to take their own life into their hands and do the worst. And this morning it occurred to me why. Not just because of who the people have been or who the people are, but who they can be. You never want anything bad to happen to people that you consider your family. No matter how many times you see them or you're with them, you don't want anything bad to happen to them. Um, but you do at times think maybe they're being a little dramatic. Sometimes it's hard to tell when someone's being just dramatic and when someone really is in the feels. So today I kind of want to just talk a little bit about when to care and when to share. I'm going to get a drink and I'll see if I can get through this with y'all. Now, I'm sorry. It's hard to find a positive message in suicide or in depression or in any of this. And that's why I have this show, because it's hard to find what the positive message is. Um, and it should be, hard. That's how we gain those great critical thinking skills and we thrive and evolve. Um, so I'm going to try to find a positive message in lives, not in suicide, but in the messages that we send in our lives. Because that's the best way I can find something positive in this. Now, when do you care and when do you share? I've broken it down a little bit and I'm going to use some notes that I have because This is kind of one of those spun up conversations. Care is always shown when you're advocating for yourself and it's relatable. You wouldn't advocate for yourself if someone's going through something that's not relatable to you, because you couldn't relate, so you wouldn't possibly be able to understand. So when you hear things that are relatable to you, then you start to advocate for that. Whether you know it or not, you do. If somebody has been swimming and they almost drown, and so now they never swim, and then someone talks to them about, oh, I'm going to go swimming, but, I'm really scared to drown. You wouldn't go, oh, I'm really scared to drown too, and I almost did, and so now I never ever go swimming, because that's promoting an unhealthy view. You wouldn't do that. You need to know that your view of that's unhealthy, so then you're championing for them and going swimming, and not championing for your unhelpful thinking style. Your black or white thinking. You're never going to do it again. So you have to find that balance in yourself first before you can actually advocate for someone else or help someone else. Because what happens is you try to help somebody who's going through the same depression or the same grief or whatever. You're trying to help that person who's going through the same thing that you're going through. And then you become trauma buddies. You're not actually giving any positive message to the person that they need to understand. So you have to be careful. So always ask yourself, when you start to care about a cause, are you caring because you actually want to help the person? Or are you caring because you want to feel better? And that's really where the sharing thing comes in. So you share when you're advocating for others and it's relatable. You are then advocating for others who struggle with different issues. So when you can understand the content, when it's relatable to you because you can understand it, but it's their struggle or it's their triumph, then in order to advocate and champion for them, you share their enthusiasm, you share their concepts, you share that path. So you can share and care, or care and share at the same time, because they go hand in hand if you want to be fully supportive and kind to others. It then creates a ripple, see? And you're sharing, or you're caring and sharing, and then someone cares and shares about you. Whatever you get back so much greater than what you actually put in. It's just like the waves. So if you drop a little pebble in, it's still going to create ripples. So just a little bit goes a long way. Because sometimes you can be a little overzealous. We all can be a little overzealous when we're trying to advocate for ourselves or for others. And so people sometimes go, oh my gosh, don't advocate. I don't want you to talk about it. I don't want any of that, because if you do, you're just drawing too much attention to it. Some people can't handle that. So you have to learn to be assertive, not aggressive, and not overbearing about caring, because you can be. You have to be sure you wouldn't trust others that don't follow their own advice. So you want to make sure that you're following your advice before you offer tips to others. So make sure that you've got good self-care. That means make sure that you're not going to be that trauma buddy. Make sure that you're well enough to say, hey, let me give you a hand. Because sometimes you can overwhelm people with your own issues without knowing it. You really don't know, and it's not your fault. That's why I'm having this podcast. you build a support group when you're vulnerable with others. Like any support group, a diet group or a tutoring group or any of that stuff, you build a support group, a team around you and your issues, and you're part of a support around them and their issues. And typically, a support group, it's all the same issues. So it's easy to find yourself in a place where you may just sit with that trauma and not really move through it effectively. And that can be a tricky situation. I've done that. I've been in support groups, and most recently, a support group, I became really good friends with a couple of people. And it was only as I started to get well that I realized that they weren't. They weren't getting well. So I was progressing and they were still where they were. And at that point, I realized they were toxic, and I thought, oh my gosh, I need to get out of here. But they're my friends. I care and I feel for them because I've been there. So I just wanted to keep helping, and I didn't want to break it off because I knew if I did, they would have no other help. And then, they may end up killing themselves or overdosing or anything. And so I was carrying that responsibility, but it wasn't mine. I didn't want to put my health at risk or my wellness at risk because they needed me. It was me thinking that they needed me. I didn't have enough self-care at that point. And so in getting more self-care and understanding that I needed to be well and going through this whole process, then I was able to say, you know what? I know what will help you. It's not anything other than a simple idea of you are the most important person right now. And if you're not making yourself the most important person right now, you need to. You need to advocate for yourself in all situations because that's how people know about you. But let's talk about this thing about being too overbearing. So an advocate or a champion, you can use both words, it's the same, is a person who publicly supports or recommends a particular cause or policy. With self-advocacy, you're bringing awareness to the issue in the simplest form. That's personal relatability. And that's what I was meaning by you're sharing yourself with others. So be vulnerable. Sometimes advocates, are a little too in the fields. I get in the fields a lot for the message to be clear. So I'm trying very hard to just be clear. And if anyone has questions or anyone wants me to elaborate on anything, just leave a comment and I'd be happy to discuss it. So here's how it goes. Okay, in order to be a self-advocate, first you have to be aware that you have struggle and you have to acknowledge it. Be vulnerable in front of people, right? And when I said you have to be kind to others about it and not so overbearing, it means you have to do that for you too. So anything that you want to do for others, you actually have to do for yourself first. And there was a list online of ways to show someone you care without being overbearing. And reading this, they all seemed very trivial in the concept of doing them for other people. These are little pleasantries that you can do to let people know that you care about what they're going through and who they are without being in their face. One of those is resist the urge to argue about nothing. If someone doesn't believe the same way you believe, it's okay. You don't have to argue about it, and they don't have to agree. You can simply say, okay, now I have another perspective, and they do too. And you can think about it. You can take forever, it doesn't matter. But you don't have to argue about it. You don't have to drive your point home. Because if they're ready to understand it, they will. If you're ready to understand their point, you will. And if not, you can discuss it without arguing. You simply state the facts, state your reality, and listen to theirs. The interesting thing is, that's the most important one if you use it for yourself. Because I said everything that you do for others, you need to do for yourself first. So, if we're going on that concept, resist the urge to argue about nothing. Resist that urge with yourself. So, in those moments that you are the most sad, the most dark, the most negative, you have to simply acknowledge that you're feeling that way without trying to change it. Just accept it. Just say, you know what? I am sad right now. I accept that. Be vulnerable to yourself in saying that. Say it out loud if you have to, but you say, I'm sad, and then you say, why? Why am I sad? What's getting me? Am I alone? Am I truly alone? If you answer, yes, I'm alone, it's within your power to not be alone. If you're physically alone, if you're emotionally alone, whatever, it is within your power not to be. All you have to do is decide this one thing. You're worth it. You're worth not being sad. If you've spent your whole life sad, you have no idea what it is to be happy. But if you can have one glimpse of happiness from a previous time flash through your head, then you know that you're capable of being happy because you have been happy before. And so you reflect upon that and you say, why was I happy? Why am I sad now? Am I lacking gratitude and appreciation for what I have? Or is it true that I have been knocked down so far that I can't get up? Am I worth it? Am I worth it to myself, to others, to try? And the answer will always be yes, because you don't know if you're not worth it. You have no idea if you're not worth it, so you have to assume that you are. And the reason you don't know if you're not worth it is because you're not dead yet. If you have in your head that that is the end you're going to meet, it doesn't matter what I'm saying to you right now. It doesn't matter what anyone's saying to you right now. But it should matter. So make it matter by getting extra excited about your life. So in those deepest, darkest moments that you can't find anything to feel good about or happy about, you have to go really, really deep inside and say, what makes me excited about life? Is there anything about life that's exciting? I know that you'll find one, even if it's a person, that you haven't thought about in years. Did that person ever excite you? If so, find that feeling again and say you're worth being excited again. Because the thing is, for the people that you leave behind, we get a greater sense of awareness, that the struggle is more real and that we've been resilient ones. And it's hard to be the resilient ones all the time. No one wants to always have to be resilient. I don't want to be. But I also don't want to say, you know what, you're too toxic. I can't deal with it. Because if I say that to someone, I'm saying that to me. And I would rather tell someone, you know what, you might have some issues right now, but let's talk about it. Because then I'll have the facts that they're not toxic, that they are a human being that deserve happiness and deserve to understand what it is to not be alone. I've been alone physically. I have felt alone emotionally. um, and it wrecks you. We're not designed to be alone. Um, we're designed to be part of something greater. Um, give them your full attention. That's another one of those things that you can do for someone. Give them your full attention. That means you've got to give yourself full attention. So, all of these things that I'm reading right now, I want you to apply to you as if they were someone else that you want to show that you care. Because you're wanting to show yourself that you deserve something. And if you're feeling totally desperate, you don't feel like you deserve anything. So these little things that you can say to yourself that say, I'm a human being just like them, and I have cared about other people, genuinely cared. I cared about my mom, cared about my dad, cared about my siblings, my dog, my cat, whatever you care about. If you've ever cared about anything, then you can care about yourself, because you only care about yourself, or you only care about others when you care about yourself. So if you have, you have. So find that again. And if you can't, find someone that can help support that feeling. Not the trauma, but the feeling. Support those good feelings of humanity. We're all in this sea of craziness together. It doesn't matter what your politics or religion or family background or anything is. We are all humankind, every one of us. It means that we have the potential to be kind and to help others. And if you get nothing out of this, well, nothing else. If you get nothing else out of this, since it's not a real kind of positive feeling, get this one thing. I promise you I care. Because I care so much about myself that I'm still here. Despite everything that I have ever gone through in my life, I'm still here. Because I care about myself. And because I care about myself, I promise you, I care about humanity. Because I'm part of that whole machine. So, on a different note, I've been totally vulnerable in front of you. I've shed my feelings. I've cried. And now it's time to actually give you a better message. One of the silly things that you can do to make yourself feel better is to give yourself a hug. It sounds really silly. And we've seen in the movies, where people are making out with themselves or whatever. And it looks like they're making out with someone. But truly, you can give yourself a hug in 100 ways. And one of the ways that I give myself a hug when I'm feeling bad, or I'm feeling nervous, or I'm feeling kind of, I don't know, out of sorts, I give myself a hug by saying, and if y'all have ever seen Stuart Smalley, you know this, I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and gosh darn it, people like me. Whether it's true or not, it doesn't matter, because I believe it's true. And believing in yourself and believing what you say and what you think is true is profound. If you believe the wrong things and you think that those things are true, you're going to self-destruct. If you need positive thoughts, all you have to do is tune in to me. You can call me, you can text me, whatever you have to do. But talk to me just for a message if you have to. I'm here. And I want everybody to know that I can send virtual bear hugs. I'm pretty good at doing that. I like virtual hugs because, if y'all don't know, I have OCD. It's a little hard for me sometimes to get near people, and especially to be affectionate with people. And it's something I'm working on. And if you need to work on that too, start working on it, because it's great. It feels good when you hug someone. It's scientific. It releases all those good endorphins. So you can hug yourself physically too, if you must, and do little nice things for yourself, because that is what tells you that you deserve it. But it's also what tells you that other people deserve it. So, in being kind to yourself, you're actually being kinder to others. And you'll realize that people are not as crappy as you think they are. I promise. Most people, when they meet me, they don't think, oh, that's some weird pot smoking tranny. But, you know what? If that's the way you see it, who am I to dispute it? It's your reality, right? It it doesn't affect who I am moving forward. It doesn't affect me now. I'm a little weird, um, but when people get to know me, they realize, hey, this person may be this to others, but to me, this person's just a normal, everyday human being just like me, struggles the same, has the same rewards. It's a hard life, guys. But on the plus side, it's only as difficult as you make it. And you never get dealt a hand that you can't get out of. That's why we have this resilience. Um, and I say that meaning that I guess the universe doesn't pile more on your plate than you as a human being are capable of seeing yourself through. It's hard. It is so hard. I've had to do it more than once, but I'm still here. I'm still here. And you're still here. So make sure that you're checking in with those people that you can relate to, that you still want here too. All right, so that's it. I'll end this on a joke just for a little bit of positively entertaining conversation. So, why are fire engines red? I know no one knows this, and if you do, it's only because I've told you. So, 2 plus 2 is 4. 4 times 3 is 12. 12 inches in a ruler. Famous ruler was Queen Elizabeth. Queen Elizabeth sailed the ocean. Ocean has fish in it. Fish have fins. Finns fought the Russians. Russians are red. Fire engines are red because they're always a Russian. I learned that joke to make me feel happy after I suffered the tragedy of house fires. So, to me, that was turning a very negative self message of, losing everything to fire to a funnier message. And if you have to do that too, then that's just a little tip. So I hope you got something out of that. If nothing, a stupid joke. So happy Thanksgiving. Um, Stay with us. Subscribe to our channel. Like my videos. Share, because you don't know who needs to hear this message. Remember, you don't know what you don't know until you get another view. So, thank you guys. Thanks for listening. And I will be on again. Today is not pizza night. It's not. Today is Friday, so I will record again and have it posted on Tuesday. So, not sure what we'll talk about, but I promise it'll be better. Alright, guys, I got something to admit. I'm a vegetarian and I ate meat yesterday, and it was fantastic. Beth, she cooked an amazing turkey, and I will be eating it again here shortly, as a matter of fact. Hopefully, this will set me back on the path of meat eating. We'll see. I don't know. I'll talk about it later. But yeah, so I did not eat pizza last night on pizza night. It was very strange for me, but the turkey was worth it. Yeah. So that's what I did for Thanksgiving and went to bed by 10. because, yeah, the turkey. So I hope you all had a good Thanksgiving, and we'll be talking. Thank you!